Yes, 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 yes. We are back again for another open court discussion live in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor, and joining me is my co-host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Ow!
Oh shit! Some of y'all in trouble tonight with that growl. He hungry, thirsty. Because the last few weeks we've been having guests on here, so sometimes we have to be well behaved for our guests. But tonight we don't have one. So, recap from this past Monday's broadcast: we interviewed Fonz Curtis, CEO of the clothing line Brand New Life and co-executive producer of the Pure movie series showing on YouTube and Amazon Prime. Fonzo shared with us how he created a brand new life for himself. Check out the replay on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. Okay, moving right along to tonight, August 28th show. We will continue with the theme of family. And where that came from, in the Counselor's Corner, I decided to have a theme each week because some people just be throwing out reckless posts over and over, talking about the same old things over and over. Black women this, white women this, such and such. So I said, hey, let's have a theme. And what I do realize is some people can't even stick to that shit. They have no understanding. They just think they could submit anything and something like, oh, I posted posts like 4 or 5 and nothing went through. Didn't I tell you that it's a thing? Didn't I give y'all due process like 3 or 4 times? This is what we doing. So that will be that. So we're continuing along with the family thing tonight. A variety of questions dealing with upbringing, family traditions, philosophy of life, proudest moments, most difficult things that happen to you, family trauma, and how does your family handle situations when a family member is struggling with a disability, disease, or something of that nature. This will be a great dynamic conversation which may reveal why you are who you are. Please like and share our video, and don't forget to tell someone, a family member or friend, to subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. So here we are. We at it. I'll just say this, today was opening day of school in pretty much state of Maryland. For me, Baltimore County Public Schools, year 19. Year 19. Wow. So, like I like to tell people, like sometimes it feel like you're aging athlete as far as football, basketball, and even boxing, and you got to get up for training, training camp all throughout the summer, the different workshops, and you're like I can't do this anymore. But the one thing that keep you going and keep you motivated is when those kids come through the doors and you see them and they be happy to see you, and then like, man, they got a bunch of stories to tell. And today was kind of keep it moving, but as the honeymoon stage ends, they'll start coming down, especially, I have the 6th graders this year, so I don't know them, but a lot of the returning students, mainly the 8th graders, they'll be in, and they'll be, a prime example today. One of them was in my office like, Mr. Glover, I got a boyfriend. I said, don't start. We're not focusing on that. She's like, no, for real. I'll tell you about it. But it was all about keeping it moving, getting through the day. But I'm sure as this week goes by and next week, I have all the information. But, it's always good to see them. And then just the growth spurt, like, damn, they got tall over the summer. So that was my day in a nutshell. Another day, year 19, year 30 in education. So the work is out there. So a lot of people, like I made a post earlier, I said, this is work right here. This is work. I put in work. Put in work for 30 years. So what's good with you, Big Bad Wolf?
Man, I got a lot done today, man. Started moving some boxes out of the spare bedroom, getting a handle on my lawn, which looks like a mini jungle. Uh, Throwing stuff away that I no longer need that I had for another purpose. But the funny thing today was I got locked out my house.
Mm. One of your cats locked
Now
you out.
I got one of them. No, I have an older house, so it has a locking system in it where the latch comes out. There's a button beneath it, and there's a button below it. And if you depress the wrong one, it automatically locks. You can't get in with the key. You can't open it, but you can override it with the key. So I had went to the store today, and because I'm comfortable in my neighborhood, I don't lock my doors when I go somewhere, and I'm gonna be back within an hour. I get home, I'm like, what the fuck? Now I'm running through the scenarios of what could have possibly happened. I'm thinking, okay, maybe um my brother came here, picked up something, so I wasn't here and locked the door. I'm like, all right, no problem. So I go to the back porch, climb in the window. Now my big ass is struggling to get in the window because I'm close to 290 right now, so I'm far too heavy. Yes, I said 290 pounds, people. Yes, we're gonna get a handle on that though. So I finally get in and I go see what's going on. I'm like, how in the hell did this happen? I'm like, all right, depress the lock, go see. I said, all right. But over the weekend, and people, this is the PSA for those of you who go to public functions where there's alcohol served and you have people who are old enough to drink but not smart enough to handle their alcohol, keep them the fuck away from it. I don't need to bear witness to people fighting with their family members at public functions. Okay, just a PSA. Put the alcohol down till you know how to handle it, shit, man. Really. Don't need no police reports of people going to the ER. That shit is crazy, man. But that's about it for my past weekend today.
All right. Um, so today's topic uh, deals with family. How much does family matters? And some people will say, excuse my language, I don't fuck with family. I don't fuck with them. They don't mean me no good, or whatever the case is. And and one of the things that I do want to say with people, even as far as the counselor's corner, and I done said this spill over and over, we have to understand that not everybody thinks like we think or have the same experiences. So good, bad, or indifferent, like it may come off negative, but you don't know these people's circumstances on why they post. And it seems like it's always negative. So the only thing you could do is sit back and say, wow, like they must have been through it. But don't view the overall thing as, oh, this group. So because it kind of reminds me of today, a couple sixth graders came in, they're like, man, red golden ring. And I'm like, what y'all say about the ring? They're like, in this school ghetto. And I'm like, yeah, I said, yeah, I do realize that the school is just a building. It's the people inside that makes it or gives it its culture. And I said, if you come in with a negative attitude, this is what you're going to get. I said, so y'all starting off on the wrong foot. And they came to my office and we kind of talked, and I gave them a couple little nicknames since they were sitting there. A couple of the young boys. One of them, he said his name was Errol. I like Errol, like Errol, like Errol Spence. And he like, I don't know who that is. And I was like, it's a boxer. I said, they
Mm.
call him the Truth. I said, so from now on, You the truth. And he kind of smiled, like, really? And then the other one, he was kind of bigger, and he was like, man, look at him. He in the sixth grade. What he gonna do up in here? I said, what are you supposed to do? It don't matter as far as size. He coming to get education. You don't have to be big, tall, medium. And then I said, oh, I see what type of stuff you on. I said, Debo. And then they went on and acknowledged that they watch Friday and stuff like that. Because I said, y'all too young. What y'all know about that? My mother, my dad put me on to that, so they knew all the characters and all of that stuff. But it's about building relationships, and again, one of the things is you just never know where someone is coming from. So I didn't really lay into however they came in with their comments about the school. So I had to kind of jump in it and say, listen, we not about to do this right here. Y'all need to come in and say we ready to work. And we'll see how it plays out throughout the year. I can imagine there'll be probably frequent flyers, or I'll be getting emails to come get them, or whatever the case is, because they came in kind of playful and all that. But again, they're 11 and 12-year-olds. But as far as the group, decided to go with themes, and the past week, we're talking about family. So there's so much to talk about as far as family, and again, good, bad, or indifferent. So, when you think of family, what's your first thing that comes to your mind when you think of the word family?
Blessed. But it's just as you said earlier, everybody isn't. Um, Longtime listeners already know that I spent a significant portion of my younger life in multiple foster homes. So I always say I have multiple families, and I really do mean that. At least three. My primary. Matter of fact, let me shout her out. Give me a moment, David. Um, Roxanne Young, perfect example. She liked one of my comments in the counselor's corner. Now, periodically, I go check profiles, see who's who, who's from where. It turns out that she's from a very small town, I suppose, in northern Niagara County called Newfane. Now, the only people who know about Newfane are the people who live around there or the people who live there. I happen to live about 7, 8 miles from there. Or I'm sorry, used to in a foster home in a small hamlet called Alcott, and I've mentioned that before. So I shot her a message and we started conversing back and forth. They come to find out that the family I lived with knows her mother. So when they say it's a small world, it is a small world. But that is one of my families. I don't see them that often. I don't converse with them that often. But that was one of my families. I have a couple here in Niagara Falls. I got invited to a family reunion um, about 4 or 5 years ago with one of my families. Uh, this week, my biological family, we're going to have a memorial service for our youngest sibling. Um, so I'm blessed. Like you said, David, not everybody has that. So, um, like I say to people, you want grace, give grace. We don't know what an individual is going through, their circumstances, what pushes them to do things, what stops them from doing things. You know, they may, under normal circumstances, um, like to go out, but their family is there, and they're just like, nah, man, I can't get along with them. This is why um, Thanksgiving, you hear about the spats that people have with their families. Never happens with mine because we're close knit. For as much as we have our issues with each other from time to time over stupid stuff, what I consider to be stupid stuff, we're tight knit. So just like this coming weekend, we got together and we did what needed to be done to get the job done. but everybody doesn't have that, and it's unfortunate. And I don't know what it would take for those people to be able to feel comfortable enough to where they can rely on their family, where they can call on their family if the need arises. And by the time we get done with the show, we're going to uncover a lot of needs as to why somebody needs to call on their family.
Now, I know we're on the family theme, but I'm gonna jump off it. And one of the first things that come to my mind about New Fame, I don't know if I brought it up on here before. I might have a while back. But I had an interview for a school counselor position in New Fame. Now I knew it was like on the outskirts of Lockport, but I honored it and said, "Let me go to this interview." I can't imagine, like, am I going to even fit into the school or whatever the case is? But I said, hey, if they offer me the job, I'll make it work. So during the interview, sitting there, I think it was, I don't know, it might have been like a white female counselor. Then it was like the principal. But during the interview, he got up and like left. And I'm like, damn, did I say something wrong? That was rude. Then maybe a day or so later, guess who made breaking news? That principal. He was out at a park, exposed himself in front of kids. And I think he ended up, of course, getting fired or whatever. But I'm like, I always thought about that. I wonder if he left my interview to say, this ain't it with him. Let me go get my rocks off in the park and hopefully in front of some kids, because I think it was like around in the summertime or something. I had to interview or late in the school year. So that I always think about that when I think of New Fame. Like, damn, what if I would have got that job? What would it been like? That was just interesting. All right. Sorry for going off course.
But you know what? Being that I know how small that place is, I don't know how the hell he could get away with that for as long as I'm going to assume he's been doing it for some length of time. Because there aren't any parks out there that are out of the way. The biggest park out there, New Fame. Let's leave Lockport out of this because Lockport tends to be a little bit bigger. But Alcott, New Fame, and there's a smaller section, smaller than New Fame and Alcott, called Burt, Burt. There's literally nowhere you can hide out there in terms of doing something like that. So I'm trying to figure out how the hell he got away with it.
Well, he did, and he had, I don't know if that was when he went out there that time, but I thought it was interesting. But yeah, as far as family, again, like Herb said, his family is close knit. My family, we're close knit too, and one of the things is we crack jokes on each other all day long, all day, all night, nonstop. Wake up doing it, and it never results into any major discourse or like somebody was cutting up or had to call the police or anything. And it's been in existence since, like, when we talk about family traditions, we talk about, and I think of everybody meeting up at my grandparents' house, but they both, have passed. So, you wonder, like, who's going to restore those traditions? Where's everybody going to meet up at? And a lot of families, people I've talked to said once their grandparents died, that was kind of it. Everybody does their own thing and they don't get together. And I always like to give out a shout out to my sister, Tasha Glover, and then my cousin, Deshara Page, because they always they live in a duplex and they open up their homes for the family to come in. Like people say, nobody throws a house party or a party like they put together. So they're always, looking for something or events that we all come together, and that's what it's about, creating memories, especially as you get older. You know, you try to make sure that you make an attempt to attend as many family functions as possible. But again, we also know that some people feel like they've been outcasted in their family. So they may not mess with their family, and they may, if they're married, they may say, I mess with my wives. I'm cool with their family. Um, my family
Yeah.
is about drama, and I don't even want no part of that. So I usually attend the functions at my wife's or my other half's event. So that's just something to get the conversation going.
You know, I let me put it like this. I have friends that I consider extremely close. Like if something was going on, I'd have talked to them. Let me give this description. I look at my life like an atom, and an atom comprises of three parts: nucleus, protons, and neutrons. Of course, I'm the nucleus. My really good peoples, the ones that I can rely on, they are the protons. Right? We make up that atomic number. We close. We good. And then I got some people that just move in and out. They come along. They might be there for a little bit. They might change the complexion or something. Well, and they move on. Those are the electrons. That's how I look at my life in terms of my family, my friends. And like Roxanne said, family may not be blood. Family is what you make it. So you got a lot of people out here who, you know, that may have fallen on hard times. They they might be trying to kick a substance abuse, whether that substance is a drug or alcohol or some other chemical dependency. Pardon me. They might need somebody to ferry them to the next step. Because the old that is, some people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and we never know what role we gonna play. So I think it's important that we give grace in order to get that grace. Um, because life is full of uncertainties. You could walk out the house one day fully functional, next day you in a wheelchair. Who's gonna be there at your side? Same thing with a job. You could walk into a job, take a construction worker. There was one guy, they were putting in concrete supports. And he said one guy had one fall on him, crushed both of his legs. That guy goes from being fully functional to a man with no legs. I mean, just imagine you fully functional, autonomous adult one day, and then the next day you half of you was just gone. That will probably be demoralizing. For me personally, that's my biggest fear. That in a house fire. Is losing the ability to be mobile. I don't know what the hell I'd do. To be honest, I value the ability to be able to walk, run, rollerblade, ride a bike. I think I would rather be homeless than immobile, but that's just me.
Now, one of the things also that came across when you think about this subject matter, and one of your family philosophies that have kind of trickled down over the years, and a lot of times they may come from obviously a grandparent or something like that. So I always think about one of the things, and I've mentioned it on here before, that my grandmother used to always say, do right by people. Do right by people, especially the ones that do right by you. And I think people don't understand that, and people have a sense of thinking that everybody owes them something, and they don't understand that old adage of do right by people, because it's people that I know who did right by me, um, even in my younger childhood days, and even professionally in the work environment, that I always give them love and respect, and that's all I know how to do, because I wouldn't be who I am without their help. So for people, think about, and you could think about the other saying too. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. A lot of y'all like biting that fucking hand. Y'all bite it
Mm-hmm.
off. But you do have to realize that some people ain't just gonna say, "Oh, it's okay. They're just going through something." They had a lapse of judgment. Some people are cutthroat. Like, yo, don't fucking call me no more. Don't contact me no more. After a while, you're gonna get cut off. So sometimes you need to think 5 times before you speak, or the way you treat people, because you never know when you need someone, and you know, especially if people have been a source of empowerment for you. Those are the last people you want to try to bump heads with. You kind of want to not bow down so much, but kind of say, "Hey, man, I'm not gonna even go there. I only could go so far with this individual because I know what they mean to me. And if I feel like I'm about to get rude and disrespectful, I need to just, take a step back." Many people can't do that. Can't do that, and then they wonder why they're in the positions that they're in.
Yeah, people out here, they literally, like you said, they are sowing the seeds of their destruction. So when it really comes time to get some help, they're like the boy that cried wolf. Nobody's there to hear that cry anymore. And I'm, looking at some statistics as I like to do, bring them up a time or two. There's a company, I'm sorry, not a company, a Council for Disability Awareness, and they gathered data from 19 of their member companies. And this is what they found out. They said every 7 seconds, a working age American will experience the beginnings of a long term disability. Now, what they defined as a long term disability is a disability that lasts more than 90 calendar days. So just bear that in mind. Most people are not prepared to experience the consequences of a long term disability, and the psychological and the financial impacts on the family are tremendous. So just imagine if you got a husband and wife, 2 minor children living at home, and your income is cut in half by four. I'm sorry, by four. Your income is cut in half. How do you make the ends meet? And then you have to provide care for the injured party. So somebody's workload doubles, and you only have one person to shoulder that load. This is where a lot of discontent comes from relationships with able-bodied people. Now we're talking about people who are not able-bodied people. Just imagine being a mother. Well, I'm gonna throw a wrench in it. Just imagine being a mother who has to go through that, and then you have a child with special needs. It's a recipe for hell. And there are people who are actually enduring this, but we don't know because they tend to be left out of mainstream society. Speaking of which, there's a movie called Crip Camp, CRIPCAMP. It came out in the year 2020, and it was based on all these kids throughout the United States who had some type of disability, shot on location, in the Catskills in New York State. I would advise watch that movie. It's free here on YouTube. Um, I think most of the people that watch it will be floored, and they will also have some type of faith restored in them. In that, even people who society marginalizes, they have a voice, and they use that voice. They use the power of the vote, and a lot of other things. They got stuff done. A lesson I hate to say that black folks can really take out of the book and use, but that's another topic for another time. But let me get back to this one. 84% of corporate human resource professionals say that the average employee can survive no more than 6 months without a paycheck, and 77% of financial advisors occur. So we're back to that loss of income, and how do you handle that? Some people don't; they just fall apart, and that's when they start the drinking, substance abuse, especially for the person that's injured. They don't see themselves the same anymore. They think they're a burden, even though they may be. They feel like they can't contribute because what they've known for their entire life is just gone. I mean, I would label it the equivalent to if you're left-handed, having to learn to write right-handed when you're 50 years old. You're gonna struggle, and you're gonna struggle mightily. Same thing if you're right-handed. You learn to write left-handed at 50 years old. You might not even try, and that's a lot of what we have with people when they run into situations and they don't feel that anyone's here there to help them, whether it's uh, their immediate family, extended family, in-laws, or people who they once considered real good friends. So what do they do? Who do they turn to? Social services. That's very impersonal. You know that they're gonna come over to do the job. They may not care about your mental well-being. They're just there because they have to be. And I would tell you, I don't think that's a good, productive, humane way to live. I would never want to be in that situation.
All right. So again, as I look at my notes, and I like to take it back to for people to think about, and you can comment on the chat. I have posted this a few days ago. Um, Proudest moments in your life, and how was that shared with family? If you can think about some of the your proudest times, what did that look like for you? How
Oof.
was it?
Ah, um, there's been a couple. I would try and narrow this down to one, but there's probably three, at least that I can think of right now. One, of course, is closing on my house. Um, I can say this was something that I did by myself because obviously I'm paying for it, but there was a lot of people who, through the years, pushed me to go into the right direction. When I dropped out of high school, didn't finish college, still having the intestinal fortitude to carry on because there was always something greater out there. I didn't know what it was. But people say, hey, look, this is a setback. Keep going forward. Um, Graduating high school, because I was a high school dropout, my mother put me out at 16. I didn't know what the hell was going to happen. Um, I ended up getting a job staying with my older brother at the time. So, and this is why we're talking about family now. Had it not been for him, don't know what the hell I would have done, where I would have stayed. And that was for me. That was a transition phase. It was a phase for me going to being a young teenager to essentially an adult man. And I say that with all sincerity. I'm not trying to gloss over the fact what an adult does, but at the particular time, I was responsible for getting my ass up, going to school, working, and playing sports. I was doing all this at the age of 18, 19. So I had no authority figure pushing me to go do this, other than shout out to Garth Ellis at 13th Street Center saying, "Hey, look, him and Michael Thompson, you can't come in here, man. This place is for kids that go to school." Fuck yeah, man. I was like, "What you mean? This is a public facility." No, man, you got to be enrolled in school. You got to be going to school. So they were the de facto fathers for a lot of us that went to that gym. I mean, the stories, man, are legendary. So that and my first day on the campus of Buffalo State College as a registered student. I've told the stories about me hanging out there while not being a student, and that was cool as hell because I had my boys and my boys was rolling with me, and everybody that was on the fifth floor in Porter Hall. Shout out to Flavor. You already know who y'all is. I ain't gotta call y'all out, but those will probably be some of my proudest moments, in my life. But I'm sure there's more if I sit back and think about it.
For me, well, one of them winning the state championship in basketball, and I think for me, I wasn't one of the. Well, I actually quit in 11th grade, and that's a whole nother story. I ain't gonna reveal why I really quit, because I ain't gonna really reveal. But the reason why I quit, it was about more so character, and didn't want it to continue in the behaviors that we were doing. So I ain't gonna even. I ain't gonna. I ain't gonna speak on it on this platform. So I decided I had a job. Said I'm just gonna work. I'm gonna work. And then in my senior year, all my boys played on the team, and they're like, "Yo, you got to come back, man. We about to win it all, man. We about to get Eric Gore. He coming to LaSalle. We definitely gonna win it." And yeah, we did. We went undefeated. It was ranked number 3 in New York State, but I wasn't, because the word was if you quit on Coach Monty's team, he's gonna make you pay your senior year. And he kind of made me pay because I don't care what nobody say. It was the starting 5, and then I was the next best player after that. But I didn't always get to play in time like that, and I was okay with it. I was like, I'm not going any where as far as this. I'm going to go to college anyways, and just to win it all. But I think what ended up transitioning, I wasn't even the captain of the team, but I think what ended up transitioning, my voice was the loudest when it came to as far as leadership in the role that I played. We'd call it timeout. I used to say shit before the Coach Monty would say something. I would be in their ear and call it out. And I got, much respect as far as that. And just the moments. And I'll say, when you win something on that level, you always a champion. And it always breeds inside you, and you always feel that you can go on and do big things. So that was one of the things. And I'm not going to talk about childbirth and all of that stuff. A lot of people throw that out there. That's a natural thing that happens. I'm more so speaking on, other accomplishments that, make you solid in who you are. Of course, college. One of the things also, too, 2017, being a part of the Independent Legacy Awards for authors, to win an award for one of the authors on the rise. That was big because the way it happened. I told my brother Carlos about it, so he entered into it. And then we had this, award ceremony. Everybody dressed nice and nice environment. Shout out to the people who put that together, and his category came up first. And when they called his name and he won, I'm like, oh shit! Like the pressure on me, the pressure is on me because I'm a competitor. He just won, and if I don't win,
You gonna hear
I
it.
feel some kind of way. Like damn, happy for him, but like damn, I should have won as well. So my category was like kind of the one of the last few. So I'm sitting there the whole time, like man, damn. And when they called it up, and then when I ended up winning, man, that was a great feeling. And it had to be a great feeling for my mother, who was in attendance, because both of her sons end up getting awards for being authors. Again, things like that always gonna make you feel like you're a champ and be the best, brings out the best in you. And then, it's always other stuff, becoming a department chair of school, counseling at a middle school here in Baltimore County. And at one time, as crazy as it may sound, it was only me. I was the only black male department chair. We might got like 5 or 6 now. We had a couple, but they didn't, they didn't continue it. But I've been doing it for, shit, this is my 13th year. And, most people segue into trying to be assistant principal, but all the politics and that, I said, I don't want no parts of that. Want no parts. So that was always, the, things like that has been proud moments. But one of the things when you think about far as family, I remember being in my senior year, and we talking about how family can come through for you when you don't expect it. And I went to register for my courses, and they like, oh, David, you have a bill of like, and at the time it might have been like $700. I'm like, $700, like, so of course she probably listening, putting your business out there to my mother. You got 4 kids, you ain't have it. You ain't have it. I called you, and you like, you ain't have it. I understood that. So she's like, you better call your grandmother. And I'm like, why can't you call her? And she's like, I don't need the 700. You need it. And I'm like, wow. So I called my grandmother, and she heard the franticness in my voice, probably almost in tears, like, I didn't put in all this work, and I get this far, and they tell me I owe a bill of 700. And my grandmother, just as calm as she can be, don't worry, man. Don't worry. I just put it on one of my credit cards, and I'll come up there. I'm off on Friday or whatever. We'll come up there, me and your granddad. Let us know where to meet you at, and we'll pay it. And I'm like, damn. So once I got a job, I always said, no matter what, especially when I came to Baltimore and I was making more money, every time I came back to Niagara Falls, I would give them money. Make sure I would give them money. Granted, at that age, they was probably playing a lot of numbers and stuff like that. I didn't care. But here, I'm repaying you for everything you have done for me. So, and she was like, oh, you must knew your grandma was broke. And you came through, and I was like, yeah, just like you always knew when I was broke. So it was always right on time. And those moments like that are invaluable with family members that can kind of sense when you're going through something, and they be right on time, and you help each other out. Got to stay with those. We got to keep those moments going on. A lot of times you fall out with somebody over one argument, don't speak to them for 2-3 years and shit, and this person been doing everything. They've been carrying your ass, carrying you. You get mad at one thing they say, and you stupid. That's what I'm gonna say. You stupid. In fact, I'm gonna go a little farther. You stupid as fuck.
Yeah, man. Just bridge burning. I don't understand people who do it unless somebody do something real sinister or real jacked up. Don't burn them bridges, man. Life, relationships, They need to be in a constant state of either maintenance or use. And what I mean by that is this: we all use social media. Some of the more popular people have a 1,500 to 2,000, maybe 3,000 people. How many of those people do you contact consistently? Whether you just message them inbox, post on their profile, other than their birthday. It's a hey, how you doing? I'm just checking in. It's been a while. Just want to see what's going on. That's maintenance, and I think everybody should be doing that. That's the bare minimum because it shows you care, even if you really don't. You're taking time out of your schedule, and you could be busy. You may not be busy. It's just the fact that you actually put forth an effort. And people always talk about judge a person by their effort. Don't listen to what a person says. Watch what they do. So if a person is consistently doing that, then they communicate to you that they care enough to reach out to you and say, "Hey, what's going on? It's been a while. Everything okay? You doing all right? You need something?" We talk about work wives, work husbands. It's the same thing. Me, I'm different. I'm a little bit of a snob when I go to work. Only person I really give a damn about is my battery mate. Everybody else is like, ho hum. We two ships in the night passing.
Hold up, man. So you telling me you ain't got no work wife on the job?
Nope, nope.
I don't have
It's
one
just
either right now. I don't have one right now. I ain't had
it's
one in years. She divorced me.
it's, it's just me and my man. And we Gucci as we like as the young kids say. But no, I don't really converse with too many people on the job. But then again, most of the people that I see, they're either leaving or I'm leaving. So I'm 4 or 5 minutes. I'm after some nights I'm just ready to get the hell out of there, man, because some of the people be working my nerves. And I don't have them like I used to have them. I used to be real patient with people. Now I'm just like, because we get people that just ask like the. I want to be careful how I say this. We get people that just ask questions that God don't have an answer to. We'll get people that are we having the wildfires in Canada. We get people that ask about the smoke quality. What the? I don't pay attention to that. And they look at me like, huh? I said, look, I'm not outside long enough for it to matter. I go to the store, I might work out, and I'm back home. So if it's smoky, I ain't gonna notice. People ask me about the weather. I don't know. Don't you live here? Yeah. What do you mean you don't know? I don't pay attention to the weather. What if it rains? It rains. I carry an umbrella. Go do what I do. I'm back home. People ask me about breakfast, and I do the Socratic method. I walk them through. And I say, "Where am I at right now? Yeah, at work. What time is it? 3 o'clock in the morning. What time do you think I get off?" And slowly but surely, they start to put everything together. I say, "When I get out of here at 7 o'clock, the only thing I'm trying to eat is my pillow. I'm not trying to eat anything else, especially if it's been a rough night, man." I said, "Our food is the last thing I'm thinking about," and I try, be as forthright as I can without being dismissive, because some people, I don't know, I guess the way I sound sometimes, people think I'm dismissing them. I'm just like, no, this is just how I speak. It's a matter of fact. It's right there for you. It's direct. And some people don't like that direct thing. I don't know what it is. I'm like, if I ask somebody a question, I want you to speak to me. I don't want you to beat around the bush, have me try and figure out a calculus problem. Just give me the information. I'm gone. So it's weird, man. But yeah, no work wife, all that other stuff.
Now, one of the things you made a point about a family member, following up with everybody. Shout out to my cousin Rasheen, and actually It's Labor Day weekend. I'll be coming up because he's having a retirement party from the military. So I'll be coming to, Niagara Falls because that's one of the things that he always does. He check on the elderly. He used to check on my grandmother. Sure, he checks on his grandmother, my aunt, probably every day, a couple times a day, and he even check on cousins and stuff. So here, call you in a minute. I'm just seeing how you doing. Everything good, and not everybody's built like that.
Mhm.
And I'm not even built like that. Even people are, but you're a counselor. I don't give a damn what that means. That's just a title, whatever. I do my job well and all that stuff, but that don't mean 24/7 I'm in that mode. Uh, but that's the one thing that he does. So it wouldn't be right if I didn't come and honor him in one of his biggest days when he cares so much for family and checks on everyone to make sure they're good. And if they need anything, I'm sure he'll get the skin off of his back. So shout out to Rasheen. I look forward to celebrating your success and everything you got going on for the future. Because know your ass ain't gonna sit down nowhere. You gonna keep it moving, doing something. But things like that, you have to, you have to honor that. And too many times people be dismissive. Oh no, I couldn't make it. You ain't even try. You ain't try to make it. Because in all actuality, the timing probably ain't right with the busy schools just starting, but to get on the road, but some things you have to sacrifice to
Yeah.
do because when somebody put in work and they retire from somewhere, they put in years of service, and you want to be a part of those moments. And for y'all who just be dismissive toward that, shame on you. And again, you stupid as fuck. I'm just gonna carry that theme on. You know how I'll ride something out. But no, seriously. I mean, no, seriously. If you absolutely can't make it, I understand. Sometimes it's a financial thing or whatever it can. But if it's in your power to do it, then make it happen. Because again, life is short.
Yeah.
One thing we know from the pandemic and all of that stuff that we were removed from each other, couldn't really be around, and some people were taken away from you before you knew it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I can't do that's evidence that we are gonna go through that this this Friday. Uh Sisters 47, man. Um, when my brother called me, because that my siblings ranges ages from I think like 69, 70. I thought he was talking about our older sister, which wasn't that big of a shock. Then when he said it was our younger sibling, it was just like, what the fuck? You, you. And I'm still processing this. It's been almost 2 weeks. And I don't know if I'll ever really um just the realization that she's not here anymore. Um, the one time of the year we generally get together was around her birthday, which was Thanksgiving. We still will, but there'll be a void for the rest of my life. I mean, I'm gonna watch football, I'm gonna eat, but there's no more calling to wish her happy birthday. There's no more texting her happy birthday. And that's something that you know, it's like an asteroid hitting outside your house, and I don't know how to term it. It's not depression. It's the realization of one of life's processes. You know, we all come, we all gonna leave. So, we all be there, and we gonna eat, we gonna drink, we gonna celebrate.
And I think that's the bigger thing is to celebrate life, and we all go through our moments of the sadness, but with the hope that you're around good people that, yeah, turn it into a celebration, because those are the individuals going to help you get through it. And it's just like one day at a time. And then it'll come back. It'll be a reminder or something that may trigger it, and you may have to continue to have those people when you feel triggered to reach out to them and like, I'm going through it. And Sir Ty, she said testing what pull up. So and that's the thing, that always associate yourself with people that can pull you up when you're down. And we all have our moments of that. So that's one of the things as far as just family, like proudest moments. Then, just send the link. Didn't know if it was live. Lemoyne said, keep telling the stories, bro. That's how the memories don't fade. For sure, man. For sure. What's going on, brother? Sir Tice. Herb, you
I
gonna
got
send
to
them
go
a link
ahead.
or all right.
Yeah.
So one of the things we also, you have difficult things that happen to you as far as family, and the not so good times that you have. And it's chronicled that I've spoken on some of the things that I went through with my father, and part of it is because he never got acknowledged by his father. So when you equate that, and then you throw drugs and alcohol in it, somebody's gonna pay for it. And that a lot of it fell on me. And but again, I think for me, I had a wild imagination, so I always dreamt big, and then I had major family support in other ways, that I wasn't going to be that kid that was going to be down and out, lead to me not being successful in school, or me not participating in sports, or whatever the case is. So I didn't let it defeat me, whereas so many other people, they get defeated and they never could turn it around. And I ain't saying I'm whole and 100%. It's probably things that I probably could talk to some people about. But again, I still have my little competitiveness, cockiness, and I said, I'm fine. I ain't gonna talk to nobody, because I end up counseling their asses. So what they got to tell me. So I just believe in that, and I keep believing it, and I keep doing what I'm doing, and I keep pushing forward. So not everybody may not have that mindset. The one thing, you won't see me slumped over and depressed and like, oh, I ain't went to work in weeks and ain't took care of my hygiene and fell off. You won't see that. You won't see that shit. The most I ever did was during the pandemic, when I blew up and gained weight, whatever. That's because I was just bored, just going to the fucking store buying snacks and stuff and eating all day. Doing virtual learning and all that stuff, just eating, just to be eating, and really not exercising, and didn't have no reason not to exercise, but was just caught out there in the moment, because that's what was told. Oh, stay away, don't do this, don't do that, and got caught up in there instead of saying, let me go for a freaking walk, or whatever the case is. So and when I got to that point, because at that point, I said to myself, David, if you don't turn around and you don't gain, it just reminded me of one of my boys, Hoink Ernie. he would say to people when they get too big, shit, you're like spiraling out of control, dude. You get so big, whatever. And I thought about that saying, I was like, shit, I'm losing control of this, whatever. And I said to myself, I'm going to die if this keeps going on and on. Because we
Yeah.
know cardiovascular heart attacks and strokes and stuff like that is
Yeah.
common amongst us. So I said, I got to do something about this. But being depressed and broken down over certain things, I'm not gonna be slumped over and depressed about it. That's just me. I'm gonna get off past the baton.
Yeah, because I just it's funny because I gotta have probably either drained or scope one of the things, but I gotta have some work done on the right knee. But I just put together a little workout resume for myself. I said 5 days a week. I gotta get back to what I should be, which is around between for me a good weight is between 200 to 220, but I'm trying to aim for under 210. That way I can start putting on my suits and going out and start looking like Sir Tice. But yeah, people's like Jason Black says, handle your business or your business will handle you. So I'm about to handle my business, man, because I'm not trying to be one of those people that goes early. Um, I want to be here for a long time. Hey, no Michigan State stuff this year, man, out of you.
No, it's got to be. It's,
What's going
it's
on,
got to
brother?
be. It's got to be this year. Lil Cuz is on the seniors watch list right now. So it's gonna be all through. Happy Monday to you. How you guys doing?
Yeah,
Good, good. Happy
good
Monday
man,
to
good.
you.
All things
Yeah,
considered, yeah.
yeah. It's funny. I didn't go. I didn't go out tonight, and I'm realizing that with football season coming, I don't need to go out on Mondays too much anymore. So I'm just like, you know what? Let me chill. And I caught up on some documentaries real quick, Dave. I wish I was here last week to talk to that brother. I actually listened to that entire show. It's too bad. It's too bad there's not enough interaction because he brought up some great points. But this family topic, oh, I got a lot to say. So no, I got a lot to say. That's gonna piss people off because I think I'm gonna bring race in here just for a second. I think Black America has become Karl Marx's dream. And what was one of Karl Marx's number one tenets? The abolition of the family. And the reason he wants that is because they know that when you have a family that backs you and you believe in something outside of yourself, it's going to be hard to get all this garbage that they preach into you. All this, listen, people take this expression, it takes a village and all this, and they take it to mean something. What they meant by the village was your extended family.
Yeah.
Your aunties, your uncles, even maybe your neighbor next door. Not the literal entire village or what have you. And there's never been a time in history where every single family was like each other. But there's always something, and it sounds cliche. I know it sounds cliche, but I'm gonna put the bow on this gift in a second. When you standing up for your family name, it means something.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, yeah, thank you. What I mean by that is there are times when we all have those challenges, peer pressures when you're younger. 1 second, we all have those challenges and things like that when we're younger, peer pressure, things of that nature. But I can't see how the camera goes. All right, there it is. When you know that your name is on the line, you're like, I don't want those problems. And what I mean is I didn't want my parents to come pick me up from jail.
Yeah.
Okay, that was an embarrassing thing, or I didn't want to get bad grades, not because I didn't want to be perceived as stupid. Shit, I didn't want to be perceived as stupid amongst my own family, And it was so ingrained. It's so ingrained that it was subconscious. And what I think is happening right now, because families are smaller, and I'm not attributing this to being religious per se, but I will say that people are less religious and spiritual nowadays. You know, so we have that, and then we wonder why some of these, the younger adults, they have such a detachment to things. They don't care about things. Well, kids don't have to do chores. So the way I was going to tie the bow on was this. I'll put the bow on top of this. I was watching. I literally watched about 3 documentaries, whatever. If you guys have never seen that Wilt Chamberlain documentary, it's incredible. A lot of it has to deal with family, also. What did I see beforehand? I can't remember now what I saw beforehand. But what I'm getting at is this: there's a friend of mine. I guess I won't put his name out there, but a very good friend of mine works for a Big Ten university as a sports psychologist, right?
Yeah.
So he works here. You guys will figure out who it is. I'm not talking about him. He works for somebody who was a person who's considered one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, mentally, okay? He was his sports psychologist, whatever, right? That's who he works for. So this guy is being interviewed because he has a book coming out right now. Now, the guy who's getting interviewed is not my friend or what have you, but he said something that ties into my friend and all this, what have you. He was saying, you look at Tom Brady, and I'm not even the biggest Tom Brady fan at all, right? Plus he went to Michigan. So, it's all about Michigan State, But, brothers, you want to read what Lemonnier says, go ahead. I want to get this story together right.
Oh, no, it's just up there, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so anyways, he was basically saying, Brady never had a bullet for an arm. He definitely didn't have any legs, But
I'm a Michigan fan. I can speak to that.
But what did he have? He had this.
Yeah.
He has this.
Yeah.
Now, what does that have to do with family or what have you? A lot of that comes from the belief that you get from your family. Like, yeah, you got all these obstacles. You might not be the smartest person in the room. Are you the toughest one? Are you the one willing to work the hardest or what have you? Okay. And this is where I often say that will can overcome talent. And again, I'm not his biggest fan, but he's a great example to use on someone. He wasn't never really a flashy guy, and you're like, well, what does that have to do with family? I remember I had to do my homework before I went outside. No ifs, ands, or buts about it or whatever. Okay. No, there wasn't even a discussion point. There's a graph I posted in a group, David, but it goes. I'm not going to find it. I was going to grab my phone to go find it. It's a graph. It shows the homework graph. It's Black kids, Hispanic kids, so-called white kids, and Asian kids. Obviously, you know which one does homework the most at night. And the one who does the least will actually surprise you. It's not Black kids. It's Hispanic kids. But Black kids only do 15 minutes more than Hispanic kids. This is overall. Asian kids do 2 hours, Black kids 45 minutes, white kids an hour. Now, when we hear all this stuff about tiger moms and all this, yeah, I can think that that's a little bit brutal. You're familiar with the concept of tiger moms, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure, dang, let the kids live and have a life or whatever, and I may actually lean more on that, but it's that family that they're looking up to, Now I'm sure some low IQ person is saying all Asian people ain't smart. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, I'm just using the importance. These are the little things that family can bring. And now as I'm getting older, I'm realizing how important this stuff is. I'm seeing what the breakdown of the family has caused. I'm seeing, we're literally seeing it with our own eyes. Where each of us can say, dang, it wasn't like this when we were children like it is today, and I'm always about adapting, and we have to adapt to the times, but you also have to look how we got there. And a lot of that came with the breakdown of the family. So, any thoughts?
I mean, definitely some key components that, as far as with family, encouraging you but I think some of it you have to have that belief in yourself as well. You have to, for a lot of people, be able to transcend and have a balance between athletes, athletics, and school. For me, I did well in school, but I enjoyed playing sports as well. So I always look at school and numbers like, yo, I got to be one of the top. I got to try to be the top. And I think the biggest thing is in third grade, I remember a teacher, Miss Roble, we always had gifts or incentives at the end of the week. So depending on your grades in that fashion, whoever did the best would pick out of her prize thing. So as a third grader, I'm like, man, I'm trying to always pick out something. I'm always trying to be in it to be able to get something out of it. And that kind of propelled me from thereafter, just trying to, because I also realized too that if I got good grades, what could my family say? But anything, I didn't ask for much, but like when I wanted a new bike or wanted some new sneakers, somebody was going to get it. Somebody was going to get it because I never gave them a problem, never would get suspended, never caused any major rifts in school. Now, when we got in the neighborhood, that might be a different story. We did some shit, but in school, I was on point.
Yeah, but people will say to you on that one is, and by the way, I don't even have anything to discount what you said. I mean, it's totally on point. I want to address the points that I would hear the naysayers say. Everybody doesn't come from a good family. Tiger Mom's an Asian mom who made sure her children. See, there you go. Oh, that was you. Take that. I don't know the history of his mom, or that, but I can. In a sport like golf, where it's about discipline and mental. Oh my God, y'all have ever played golf? Y'all know how mentally taxing that is. So I can understand that. But back to what I was saying is, what the naysayers would say. People always, you'll always hear the, what if the person doesn't have a good family? I'm like, yeah, that should make you. That would motivate to me. That would motivate you more to want that. Even a negative family, I think, can have a positive input in the sense in that it makes you it kind of what's the word I want to use? You build a stronger resolve. In other words,
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody isn't confident and built the same way. But God, I'm trying to think of an athlete. I remember his name, Aaron Pryor. Aaron Pryor, the boxer, who rests in peace. He was saying, I'm winning all these medals. I'm going to Poland, Russia, these foreign countries when I'm 16, 17 years old, and my family wouldn't even know I'm gone. But
wow.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
now
crazy.
imagine, right? Imagine that. It's one difference. He's from Ohio. It's one difference him going to Buffalo, Detroit. He going to Poland, whooping ass. And the story behind that is he sparred Sugar Ray Leonard right after the '76 Olympics, and he put it on him so bad they fired him. Okay, they're like, dude, we can't. He was basically blocked out.
Had he beaten up Sugar Ray?
Right, and it took he already beat Tommy Hearns in that amateur suit. I don't want to make this too much of a sport rabbit hole, but I'm making the point, and all he could do is just fight these little fights. And Muhammad Ali, who was just coming, I shouldn't say just coming, who was basically coming into more retirement and wanting to look for new things. He saw this guy and was like, "There's something in this guy, man. We got to put some money behind him," And again, he had a lot of demons and things that later, but he also ended up becoming a minister and mentoring youth. But I'm saying that you can take these negative influences in life and be productive with them. Everybody doesn't grow up. We tend to think that, just I'll shut up after I say this. I say this. Every parent in general, I said in general. Don't beat me up. Let me rephrase that. Every generation of parents think they're doing what they think is going to be best. Okay. So our parents are boomers. So in their day, their parents or our grandparents were people from the Depression. So those parents, they just wanted to just provide things for kids or whatever, right? Because they came from an era when you really didn't have anything. Our parents wanted to not, I want to save this for us where we messed up. Our parents want to say, you know what? We grew up hard. We're gonna just make sure that these kids at least get some, have some stability versus, hey, first man on deck eats. Whoever doesn't eat doesn't eat. Again, that's not everything with everyone. Where we overcompensated, we being Gen X, we wanted to make everything easier for these kids. You don't have to walk to school that far, or it's dangerous. Well, shit, it was dangerous when we were coming up in the crack era. You can't, and again, I'm not saying that parents should be cautious with kids, but now we overcompensated too much to whereas now the Gen Y, they've just overcoddled their kids. I don't know how to defend this country or where's the armed forces going to get some tough men right now? Where's the sense of valor? I'm not just talking about the country. I'm just talking about the sense of valor. Guys don't even play sports anymore unless it's organized. Obviously, there's exceptions, but whereas us, you couldn't drive past a neighborhood where you weren't seeing kids outside playing.
Yeah.
And I could agree. And I look at my neighborhood. I was like, it's a whole park. I said, these damn kids. This park is always empty. Damn, no tackle football,
right?
Freaking kickball, wiffle ball, any of that stuff. Just competitiveness is nothing. And I'm like, but y'all like to steal fucking cars, though. Y'all like to do that stuff, and that's just real. The stuff that they get into in their 12 or 13, but they're not out playing tackle football or whatever the case is. I'm like, man, all we wanted was, we were so bad that all we had to do was see green, and we didn't care. We used to play tackle football in the funeral home grass when funerals was going on. They would literally had to come out and like, hey, and we like, shit, they go back in there, we back at it. Right on their property. Like,
and we see snow, that's great because it's softer to get tackled on.
Oh yeah, we definitely did that.
Right.
I mean, it's like now these kids, I'm gonna tell you this. Isaiah Thomas, again, I want to keep bringing it back to sports, but he makes a great point. He had said something to the effect of, and I'll just get to the conclusion. He said, when I was coming up, the game was a little bit too structured, where we wanted to bring a little bit more flair into it, misdirections, things like that, fake passes, things like that, a little hot dog, no mustard, right? He said, now the game and the kids watch that. And basically bring the playground aspect into the organized aspect, right? He says, now you look at the game, we're talking about basketball now, but it applies to football too. It looks like a freaking video game. You can't touch the quarterback. Everything is aerial. There's no ground and pound. In basketball, everything is a three. I shouldn't say everything, but you get my point. Everybody, it's a 3-on-1 break, and guys are spotting up on the 3-point line.
Yeah.
Like nobody's gonna cut to the basket. But when you're a kid and playing these games, and this is what it was something you said that triggered me when you had said about the you see basically vacant parks, and then we wonder why these kids are soft or what have you. I'm talking boys. All right, it's crazy. You couldn't stop us from just simple things, from just simple races against each other. Oh, and as Isaiah was saying that it came from all this. Everybody want to. If you come up watching the game from a video game, that's how you're gonna perceive it. I can't stand when I see kids under 5 years old with these things in their hand. I despise.
Yeah, I mean, at one point there used to be a certain age. I remember when they people like, okay, 12, 13, when they go to middle school or whatever. But now, shit, they got phones like first, second grade and stuff.
I agree. Right, exactly. I think that we're definitely in different times, but we're also in times where, hey, I'm gonna tell you this. You got countries where it's still mandatory military service for, when people, I don't want to get too political, But in countries where people love to say, "Oh, they have free health care and free this," and I'm like, "Yeah, they got a 45% tax rate, and men have to do mandatory military service. You want that?" And then,
Right.
but boys, Doctor, oh my God, I can't. Master Yao had said this about how we feminize society. When it's gotten so bad that I think that the social media impact manhood is being seen how much ice you got on or whatever. It's not. I don't even think women like muscles anymore. Damn it. I could be wrong. In other words, single sports got it. Whoever said that comment, he's right. Because whoever said that comment, he is spot
But
on.
I'm gonna counter. I'm gonna challenge that narrative.
Can I add this? I've
And
said
this is how we're
y'all.
gonna
I
change that
coach.
narrative.
I gave up coaching years ago because after doing it for 15 years, because I just got to the point of I got tired of these mamas coming up to me. I come to see my baby play. I'll see him one side the bench. I'm like, I have a thing where the kid earns their spots, and your son shows up repeatedly late,
Right.
doesn't listen, and I gotta, ain't that and it's like, yeah. So whoever this was, I should look it up who wrote that comment, but basically, yeah. Well, not only have they ruined it, I'm going on a tangent, but there was a person, Aqib Talib, y'all may remember him. He used to play in the league. His brother killed somebody. Literally brought a gun to a little league football game. How you do that? But I was telling people at these little league football team games in Texas and Georgia and Florida, you see everything. You used to have to go to the club to see the females. Now you got the females. You got weed. You got women. You got drink. You see all the vices there.
Oh, you know who said it? Your girl, Vicky Moore.
Oh, well, I actually agree with
because I can't see that. I went to Facebook. But this is the
Yeah.
thing about that.
Well,
And
she
Dion
thinks
caught a lot of flack.
she thinks single.
Go ahead,
You know
Sir
how it is. You know how it is. I mean, I have no problem in saying it, but I'm tired of beating up on the women's or whatever. But she's one of them types will never take accountability for what single mothers have done. It's there's a man involved. It takes two to tango. So that's how they kind of see the world. And I just let them have it or whatever. I just say, hey, you look at a tree
Yeah.
by its fruit. Sorry.
And that's what Dion was saying. Dion caught a lot of flack for saying that when he goes to draft offensive defensive linemen, I'm sorry, wait a minute. Let me clear that up. He said when he draft defensive
Give some
linemen,
context. You got to give some
going to
context. Yeah, you give some context of which
he was
Dion.
saying Deion Sanders.
Everybody. Okay, there you go.
He said when he goes to draft defensive linemen or sign up for the college team, he goes to single mother homes. He said because them boys are aggressive. He said when he wants a quarterback, he goes to the two-parent home. And he caught a lot of flack for that because it fits into the stereotype of what Sir Tice just said. And people didn't like it and said because it paints people unfairly. Sir Tice just said you have to look at the tree by the fruit it produces. You look at people like I'm sorry, just can't remember his name. The defensive lineman for I think he plays for the Rams currently. He was drafted by Detroit. Not Ndamukong Suh. What? You muted, Sir Tice. I can't hear you.
Aaron Donald.
Yes, Aaron Donald. Yeah, the boy is a physical monster, but he gets at it, and that's what people don't understand. You have to have a certain mindset when doing certain things.
But he comes
Playing
from
defensive lineman-
I don't know if you're confusing him with Sue. Actually, they both have mother and fathers, but he's listen, what I was saying earlier, to succeed, okay, look, a lot of I'm gonna reduce it to this. It's like the chick who got the TNA, right? A lot of chicks got TNA. Okay, what's gonna be the difference maker between the chick who looks better than the other chick who doesn't? It's gonna be her personality. It's gonna be, she has to do something different. I'm not saying she has to do something real. In other words, I'm just saying it takes more than looks. When you're at that talent top 10 level, the differences are so small. The guy who's diligent, what have you, who, hey, okay, I hate to say it. One reason why Errol Spence got his ass kicked is that Errol Spence is a drink. I say Errol Spence. Oh my God, Errol Spence is a drinker. Terrence Crawford plays it straight to the core.
But
Yeah, doesn't drink, and I guess what I'm getting at is that this discipline, I personally think it's the secret weapon in a lot of things in life.
Yeah.
Being diligent. Okay, it wasn't in your group. It was probably another group, but there's so much overlap. The conversations are different. I was basically saying that. I know it was a topic that came up, and most of these topics are kind of. This is no disrespect to your group or whatever, but it's like most of these topics I'm tired of. The answers are out there. Do we really want the answers? But the topic was, why do women like hood dudes? It was along those lines, whatever, right?
That was in the group.
Yeah, and I said, it's not necessarily they like hood dudes. It's just that in their environment, hood dudes represent a form of masculinity.
Yeah.
That subconsciously that they're seeking. Now, here's the kicker. I'm not going to act like I was the biggest Brutus by any means or whatever, because I wasn't, but I wasn't a punk by any stretch. My father boxed, so I knew how to box, and I had older brothers and uncles that boxed. So that just came with the territory. It was going to be some tough times with me when guys, wanted to challenge. So I had a little bit of a reputation that kind of saved me. But what I'm saying is that, a guy being a studious guy, let's be honest, a guy being a studious guy in most black neighborhoods, it's not going to win a lot of favor with a lot of people. And that's why I say a lot of these problems are cultural.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. I ain't talking about the hoods who look out for the few guys. I'm talking about in general. I'm not new to this or whatever, right? We for whatever reason, not we as a westernized culture, we think that smart people or bookish people, and I'm not putting myself in that class at all, but we think they're weak and soft. We think that people in the hood all can scrap and throw. Shit. That ain't the case, but that's the perception. To me, it's a very simplistic and remedial perception, but nonetheless, it does exist, How do you overcome this? Because as I said, if you're trying to be a success or trying to get to the next level, you got to do better than most of the average people. Unfortunately, people are doing what the average does, so.
See, and what's funny about that, and again, I think about my father. When I talk to, stories from my mother and also older guys, they would say, yo, he was smart as hell, but he was still the ass kicking one too. So it was like a balance, whatever, that people, just because someone is in the books or whatever, don't mean they the one to fuck with. And I see a lot of that in the school fights, whatever. You be like, oh damn, and they were like, yo, he beat his ass. You ain't see the video? And I'll be like, wow, that dude beat him. And I was like,
not to
okay.
shift it, but it ties into what the brother. I wish I could remember. I saw something of his that I was gonna buy too. I need to do that, but one thing I distinctly remember him saying was, I had to think of it for myself for a second. Okay, one thing I distinctly remember him saying, he was in jail at 27 years old.
We're talking about fines?
Thank you. Yeah, when he read his first book. And then, I'm paraphrasing him, but what have you, but he was basically like, God damn, I could have been doing this shit all the fucking long while I was doing this. He gets an epiphany damn near at the age when 70 years ago, most men were dying. I'm not,
Yeah.
men barely lived into their 30s or whatever. I'm getting at or whatever, you know. And it's like, damn. And again, I'm not making it. I don't want to make it about books, academics. But I will say that many people of all races and stratas, they're afraid to do the things that they're afraid of. Let me word that better. They're afraid to stretch their boundaries, try something new. I wanted to do that when I was younger. What's holding you back right now? You know, I'm not talking about jumping off of a mountain, whatever. You know, I'm just talking about, you know, you want to learn how to play keyboards. You want to learn a different skill. I always want to understand the symphony, for example. You don't know what portals in your mind just the simple interest in something else opens up.
Right. And you know what, so Tice, to be honest, that's more of a cultural thing, especially with black people, than it is anything. And it's funny you said a keyboard because about 3 months ago, I enrolled in a webinar to learn how to play a keyboard. Sat there and dude said something that just completely fucked me up. He said, I don't care who you are. He said, if you hit on this key, it's gonna make a noise. Same thing here. And he made learning, and the funny thing is, I've spent 15, 20 minutes a day just playing around with the keyboard. And ever since I took the webinar and paid for the courses, I haven't sat to the keyboard. So I got to get that back in my routine. But he said, it's really simple. He said, your right hand's playing the melodies, your left hand is playing the chord. He said, once you start to remember your chords and your melodies, he said, you'll be playing in no time. And it was funny because I had got on TikTok and there was this guy who be playing the keyboard for hours on end. I mean, hours on end, just playing a song. But he couldn't play by ear, so he had to go memorize the song. And that was something because I shot him a message. I said, "Well, how long do you recommend that somebody plays to learn how to actually be complete?" He said, "About 20 minutes a day."
Mm, th- th- there's a I'm glad you mentioned that because there's something I've been neglecting that I'm trying to learn for the last 2 weeks or what have you, right? But I kind of made a choice of I'm giving up a personal habit or whatever, you know, that I'm gonna have more time to dedicate this. But I'll tell you this one thing that I have been doing. I changed my workout, right? So not I haven't done much boxing or much lifting, but been doing my pull-ups, right? And my goal is to
Mhm.
try to get 20 pull-ups in a sitting, right? I'm at 10 already. I was at 5 when I started, and I figured out a
Okay,
routine.
progress.
Yeah, it's a weird routine that I did, whatever. But I just figured it out. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna wait a day. I said I'm not gonna do any more resting. Now with pull-ups, with weights, you can't do the same body part every day. We all know that. But your
No,
body,
yeah,
but your body weight is designed for that. This is
right.
why
Well said
prisoners
it.
get this is why prisoners can get so jacked with burpees and all this stuff or what have you. And I'm like, damn. But the whole moral of the story is all it takes is a half hour to an hour, whatever,
Yeah,
a day. Now,
yeah.
if you want to double it, be like those Asian kids, 2 hours, you know. But I, I, I mean, listen, you look at these things like mastery, like what's Malcolm Gladwell say, 10,000 hours. I don't even think you need that many in something because the work ethic's gotten so low, it's so easy to thrive. And that's
Right,
in corporate America, that's in
right.
a career, that's in anything. You know, it's a matter of if you just want to put the work in, you know, and hell, I'm guilty of I procrastinate. I got everything accessible to me to learn some kind of hell. Right now I'm just sitting up watching something, but I haven't watched TV in a while, you know. But you know, this whole thing with family, real quick. I think again we got to recognize. I don't know what it's gonna take, man. I really don't. Do we need to see more killing? Do we need to see more? You know, you go to every jail. What is the rate? I think 70% of 75% of prisoners are from single parent homes. Okay, where the father wasn't involved, right? Is that Tice blaming single mothers? No, so relax. But I'm just saying, oh, you know, you want to talk, you want to know another scary stat? Somebody actually tried to challenge me on this. They say a woman who doesn't grow up with a father enters puberty a year earlier.
I've heard that before too.
Now, how that happens is crazy. And, it was somebody who tried to challenge me. Well, what does that mean? Or whatever. Or it's what they put in milk. And I'm like, I said, what do you mean? What does that mean? But that reminds me of a quote in a book that I showed you earlier, David. Let me grab it for 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think people. I think people underestimate a great deal on the impact that a family can have on a kid. I mean, just coming up. I mean, there's so many different ways that a kid can go based on his or her brothers, sisters, what they do, and more importantly, how they do it.
The criminals in the family will steer the person who's not going wayward. Hey, you don't need to be a part of this. You don't need to be like us.
Yeah, and
So
maybe
I heard
it
it
may
growing
be
up.
it may be one of the things that they may see if that person is telling somebody younger, like you ain't got to do all that, you ain't got to go to college to get that, and if it's materialistic things, kids always are like, damn, I ain't got to do this, and uncle got all of that. Like shit, that's the route I want to go because they may be closely connected to that person. So depends on the messenger sometime who delivers the message and what they're presenting. That kind of kids gravitate towards.
I think a lot of it deals with the path of least resistance also too, which is what I try to steer people away. If it's kind of like listen, in life, you need challenges. Okay?
Yeah,
You need these challenges because one, it gives you confidence. But because I say this. This is why I say it's important to take on tough things because let's say you want to reach a 10, but you only reach 3. Well, 3 is more than 0 than what you started. And you can learn a lot more, what have you. Everything, I think sometimes we get I think I found the section that I was looking for, but I think that if we don't get the instant results, we think it's all not worth it or whatever. Oh, I want to immediately make the big money or whatever. Like, oh, I know. Someone was telling me it was one of those god awful TikToks where this woman thought she was spitting some knowledge. The reason that the kids steal is because they see their mama struggling and they see they can make $300 to $500 a day. And I'm in my head like, doing what? I'm like the drug. I'm like, this ain't the Alpo. What's that DC cat? Rayful Evans era, But
yeah,
but I said, and then she said, well, she said, I'm not saying I agree, but I understand it. I said, wait a minute, you understand that in 2023, sweetheart? Now she's somebody who was around our age or whatever, and I'm like, come on. I said, sweetheart, the $300 to $500 a day is not sustainable. He's
no,
gonna end up in jail.
yeah.
So then what
You'll
you
draw
say?
some attention.
So then what you say or whatever. I said, you're helping the matters by saying this. I said, and this goes into the family. Me, I'm not gonna say I was always on the legal path or whatever, but I never robbed and stole from people or whatever, I'm just, I, I'm no. But all seriousness, me, I have some ethics. I'm not gonna steal. That's not mine. It's me. When you steal something, what you're really telling yourself is I can't get it the legal way because I don't have any skills. So the only way I can get it is by
Just
taking it from you,
Yeah.
which to me is the biggest, like, damn, you a fucking loser. There is,
Yeah. Back to what you said. Q-Tip in the song said, "Competition is good. It brings out the vital part." Because mothers tend not to push their sons into athletics, a lot of them start behind the 8 ball, if you will, when it comes to developing, being assertive, being dominant, or even just being able to stand among their peers and be counted. So they're looking around when teams are picked and they're saying, "Well, why don't I get picked?"
And it wasn't always that way though. Like back in the day, like the single mother thing is not new.
Right.
Okay, I want to be clear. And again, I'm not just beating up on these single mothers here because there's some bum dudes here. The single mother thing isn't new, but the difference between the single mothers of old, they became a single mother. You know, there was a term that was used called widows. You know, you don't hear even that term anymore, whatever, right?
Right.
So they were still of a, dare I say, sane mindset. They weren't thinking of themselves, you know, or there's this thing that I have mixed opinions on. It's like, okay, well, what you gonna do better? I'm like, well, you can't compare. Basically, the whole Umar Johnson thing. You all need to take care of this.
Yeah.
I'd say it's tough. You're asking for somebody to put their heart into something where what they're putting their heart into doesn't want it.
Right.
It's sort of like there's a bunch of drug addicts over there. Get them sober and clean. Well, if they don't want themselves sober or clean, it is right. And again, I'm sure there's some kids out there. And again, this does not apply to all. We're using generalities, which reminded me of a section in this book that whenever somebody say, "Oh, it's too general" or whatever, even though it's not about the topic, if you don't mind, I'm going to read this one thing. He says, "The perfect book isn't coming. The topic of black female relationships or black male relationships is an emotionally charged topic. Sometimes it doesn't take much for a loud shouting match to develop. Where have we seen that happen? You know." One of the complaints of these books, and he goes for Color Girls, whatever, is they lack balance. It says that the portrayal of the characters are either too stereotypical, too dated, and one gender or whatever, right? He goes on for another page. He's like, a balanced book on this would start where we started at the beginning of civilization. Such a book would feature the research such a book would feature the research of several ancient historians and blah blah blah. This would be followed by another set of things, and he goes through every single era in this. In other words, sometimes we do have to use these snapshots to describe things. We can't always go to the original thing, and I've always thought that whole balance and all that is a deflection anyway, and not facing the issues. And the reason I think also, I'm going to add this with the family and black men, many men did not come. Well, let me take that back. I think that at times, many men desire to have a family. So they will sometimes overcompensate, even choosing situations that they shouldn't have chosen with, people that, of not of repute, if you will, because they think, man, they're not perfect just like me. Maybe if they just have some love around them, it would change.
Man, that love stuff is so much that I mean, when people believe that it's so much more to it that it's just not enough, and a lot of it is biological stuff, or could be environmental and all that stuff. To say that all they need is love or whatever the case is, but sometimes love is temporary or just for that time, and time and space. People throw that out there all the time, but shit, it evaporates quickly.
I hear from the. It's funny. I hear because I tell people you got to look at things from a socioeconomic standpoint. I know we hate this whole class system and all this, but one group tends to think that love and compassion and care can overcome this. Another group tends to think it's just finances and all this, and it's just because there's not enough. If we just gave you guys in Baltimore, David, $5,000 more per student, all the students would be A students or whatever, right?
Negative.
Right. No, but it was, they're already getting 18,000 per. it was just an extra 5,000 more, they would, suddenly care. If he just got an extra hug to say, hey, you're gonna do great in school because I love you. No, no, I don't want to belittle that. And as nice as that would be, what work are you doing? Okay, you get to these hard problems. Why not leverage the smart kids in the class or whatever and how to get past these hard problems? Oh, wait, I got it or whatever. You don't see the importance of this or whatever. And then the adults aren't helping. They say, when they do all this goofy stuff, that they do. It was one portion in this book that I'm trying to find. This is the book that I told you about earlier. You got to get your hands on this. Ron Wills actually recommended this.
Okay.
It's about I don't know. The author is the author has passed away now, but he was a brother who came up during the 70s, and there's one section in the book where he's at one of the Black Panther meetings, and they're basically like, "You're not aggressive enough with your woman, brother. We are men here, whatever." And that kind of messed him up in the head because he's from that we have to respect women, paradigm, which I don't agree with a bit. But in the book, he talks. I'm trying to find the section where it talks about, and it's real deep, man. It talks about how many women, by the time they're 14 and 15, have been approached by grown ass men,
which is crazy to me.
And that, I'm not saying it messes up their psyche, but when they say women mature faster than men, let me explain that. Let me explain that fallacy. Yes, they physically mature faster than men in their teens, but that's more from not genetics. What am I trying to say? Hubert. I can't even think of the word I'm trying to use, but basically, because that's the prime time, our generations for mating,
right?
And because they're in those situations with those older, no 25-year-old or 31-year-old women were coming at me when I was 14. Okay. Okay. I can easily tell you that. But with women, it's different. That gap gets smaller by the time people are 18 and 19 and 20. Okay. But the women do have the advantage in that they've dealt with these experiences. Again, this is in general, than men, when they're finally coming alongside. So that's where that comes from.
So you said women wasn't coming at you, but also there is research that says a lot of times men, little boys, get taken advantage by women.
No. Let me tell you this on that one. I'm not disagreeing with you one bit, but I've looked at this stuff in detail. Alan Roger Curry, shout out to the late Alan Roger Curry. He used to keep a running tab in his group on any type of future infidelity, right? And we had over 200 stories. What have wow. This, right? Now, this is, by the way, and of course it gets no press or whatever, because we know that the press is going to always cover for that side of the aisle because they're the top consumers of things. I can tell you in 95% of those instances, that kid is probably an athletic looking kid.
Yeah.
Or at least someone who doesn't look his age. Obviously, there's probably an exception to each, whatever. But you better believe, I'm definitely in agreement with you. There's plenty of female predators. A little soft. Or, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. There's plenty of female professional, career-wise female predators. Plenty of them. Many of them corrupt these boys to whereas they're just messed up in the head. They think they got to be ladies' men, gigolos, and all that kind of stuff. And then, sorry, I had a friend in the hospital, so I thought that was the text I was getting, But that definitely exists. And listen, unfortunately, there's always going to be these bad obstacles out here. But guess what? Guess who predators target? Just take a wild guess. Just take a wild guess. People whose family structures are messed up.
Yep, you're protected.
Well, I always said like even with all of that, when you have people speaking on women or even guys, like I'm gonna say women. Oh, your son, he gonna be so fine, or whatever the case is. People always throw out those comments, or like when he get older, that's gonna be my man, or and all that stuff. Those are red flags.
Hey,
Those,
bro, I don't mean to down your Debbie down it. I remember I saw a Twitter post, man, and I'm not even on Twitter, but somebody posted a Twitter post, and it was an auntie, man, and she literally went and posted this sick ass shit about how she saw her nephew's junk and shit, and was like, oh, he was hung low, whatever, and all this, and I'm like, you sick
Yeah.
mother mother bleeper. So just what you're saying is just on the surface. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah.
this is why I'm not saying I don't want to see a kid posting up their report cards on Facebook or anything like their parents do that. I think that's kind of corny. But we're gonna see a bunch of little boys with both earrings pierced, probably even have a nose ring soon. That's gonna happen. I guarantee you. We're gonna see a 5-year-old with a nose ring. You know, gonna have on his,
That's crazy.
you know, hey, we see the 2 earrings, you know, so why not that? You know what I'm saying? My point is that yeah, the looking good. It's like I'm gonna make sure my son look good or whatever and all. So who? The boy can barely read.
Well, yeah, it just it's awkward to me with some of the stuff, and I know people probably thinking like, what that got to do, but all this stuff related to family. Even when mothers like, oh, my son fine as hell. That ain't the type of language you want to use. You want to put out there, and like it's almost like you promoted your child for other people. Stop saying that shit. If you know your son is handsome, whatever, you don't even got to just put that in post or whatever. But that's why one of the main proponents, I don't post kids like that. If I post kids, it's at work and it's a situation that I'm trying to get a point across.
Right.
Uh, but I'm not gonna post a child of mine or whatever to for this world to see. It's just too much craziness. And even when I post with the kids, I don't put their names or whatever the case is. It's just like certain situations. Like this is what's going on.
Hey man, it's hey man, it's very serious out here. So serious. It was a YouTube channel I was watching where it's this guy. He's a former Navy SEAL, and he talks to various people. And this is one guy, and he actually fits into this white boy. He doesn't have didn't have a good family life, but he learned about computers or whatever, right? He learned about computers from his friend who was a hacker. Go figure, right? And what he does now is he helps law enforcement find these predators. And he said, "Is it a lot out there?" He said, "You want to see how easy it is?" And within 3 minutes of the show, they found these predators trying to get at this fake girl that he created.
Mm-hmm.
And what he was saying is that the MO, this is what triggered me when you said this. One of the girls he created, or I'm sorry, what these predators would do is, somebody will post their kid and then they'll say, I don't know, Parker Middle School and this, and they'll have their name, or they'll post their papers. These sick fuckers will, screenshot or whatever this, look it up, find out about I mean, it's sick out here, man, and people are just giving up this information. I
Yeah.
wouldn't put my kids on the internet at all. Sorry, I just wouldn't.
And I had did a workshop. I think it wasn't over the summer, toward the end of the school year, and that's what they were saying. You're posting sports teams, so predators are seeing the names of the teams. You're posting report cards, so they see the school. You might cross out your address, but they see the school name, and especially it's ones in the neighborhood, and they're rolling up on them spots, whatever. And then sometimes you don't have the settings as far as location where your kids are at, so it's easy prey. And I tell you, that's why a lot of these kids end up missing. And nobody want to hear that shit because they want likes. They want likes, and they like thinking like, damn, why are these kids missing? Why
I
they keep
need
ending up
people,
missing?
and that's the reason I'm very critical of some of these things. I don't try to be a buzzkill. I just want people to think and just use these things responsibly because these likes have a dopamine factor in all of our heads, me included. These likes have a dopamine factor. Now, not to beat up on TikTok, but TikTok does deserve to be beat up. The way that they target that algorithm, they can find it. They look at your iris and various things, your gestures, and they know how to really pinpoint target. They really know how to pinpoint content that you like to put you in a real rabbit hole before you know it, an hour has gone past. Meantime, the Chinese version of TikTok, where it originates, they put up shit like algorithms and things like math problems for the students and things like that. While I don't agree with China and their communist system, what have you, what if we did that? But guess what? The whole point is to keep a dumb population so that you have an uneducated, and when I say uneducated, I'm not just talking about formal education. I'm just saying a lower workforce who can't challenge, I won't say challenge, hey, I'm worth more than this and I can get more in an open market. You can't read. You lowering these requirements. Hey, you got these useless degrees. What can you do? You can't think with yourself. I'm trying to find. I guess I didn't leave the place, but point. But it was talking about, as I said, about the 14 and 15-year-old women who get exposed by men, and then it brought up a detailed example. And even at the Catholic school that I went to high school, you had the drug dealers come in there for the females.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very frequent. They pull up because they had the nice whips with the rims and all that stuff, and they could buy them outfits, the sneakers, the shoes. So shit, probably it's still going on. I'm not caught up in that world, but it's very well. It's very prevalent and going on.
Yeah, someone told me that. Well, I won't get into that. I'll maybe make a topic of it. All right, y'all really. I gotta recommend this though. The Will Chamberlain thing. Well, turns out he said that the 20,000 thing wasn't real, but they ran. Here's what I didn't realize: that 20,000 got revealed when he wrote a book, and that book dropped a couple of weeks before Magic's announcement. So when he was on all the talk shows, Will Chamberlain, they're showing all the clips. How dare you say that in the wake of all this or whatever. And him and his publisher, they were like, well, we were just trying to be provocative. We didn't know. And it's like you had all these people, who were being interviewed for the documentary. They're like, man, if they only knew that, yeah, he got around with a lot of women, but there was a lot more to him. And the first question that, before he passed away, that was asked all the time of him is this number.
That's true. Yeah.
Not he was great in 4 different sports. He was a pretty smart guy, but did you really knock off 20,000?
That's crazy. 20,000.
Hey.
I seen some posts there. I don't even want to throw the number out, and it was talking about the body counts, and it might have been in the counselor's corner. And they were saying most guys might only had like 10 or something.
Yeah, I've heard those numbers, and I don't know. If you look at the median, I would probably agree with that. But I would say if a guy has been on a college campus or has traveled a bit, I would like to think that. And I'm talking about even as the average looking guy or whatever, right? And I don't count paint, whatever, right? But yeah, I will say maybe the average guy is that or whatever. But nature, I try to look at this from a nature perspective. I hate that whole alpha and all that stuff because that it's not applicable to humans. But depending on your locale, there's a certain type of, guy that most women are into, right? Okay. When I say a certain locale, I remember when I was young coming up, when we would go down south, chicks like the bigger, more huskier dudes more, whereas up north, us slender guys, we're getting old. You feel what I'm saying or whatever? I'm just,
Phenotype.
I'm just saying that I think a lot of this deals with locale and things like that. I will say that nowadays women are definitely much more sexualized. Let me rephrase that. They're more open with it than they were previously. You know, some of my more player-minded friends tell you it's always been like this or whatever. They just weren't doing it with you. So take it, take that for what it's worth.
It
You
might
know,
be. Might be.
A lot of stuff going on.
I just know I wasn't at Freaknik, so I can't speak about it.
yeah, ditto. But I don't even want to get into all that or whatever. I think the actual number of the body count is kind of it's as you get older, that stuff doesn't mean much to me or whatever. Yeah, I think it's kind of one of these. It's like a table or fixing plate talking. It's just got kind of generic and corny now.
Well, it does when you're younger. I agree to an extent. It does when you're younger.
Yeah,
no-
go
Because
ahead.
nobody wants to have the female that everybody's had. Once you start to get past the age of 35, you assume she's going to have had some dalliances, especially if she has a kid or two.
I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you. I don't think nobody wants to go out with the female that everybody had. They have no problems. They have no problem smashing them.
But isn't the case with that when you're younger, sometimes they go after those females and then they get caught out there and shit. They end up coupled up.
I don't know. I don't know how to respond to that. I'll say that the wrong guy often, if he gets coupled up or whatever, like there will be no worse feeling than you having a baby with the neighborhood hoe. Oh my god!
I was getting ready to say Ice Cube made a song about it called "Doing Dumb Shit."
Yeah, right. That's something where you just gotta just jump in. Like, look, I'm gonna take all custody. Like, I can't do this or whatever, But I don't know, man. I think sadly, it's so sad right now that the basics are just messed up, for many.
Well, I guess when we look at overall with all of this, and when you talk about family, and people always talk about the decline of the, especially the black family. Shit, which direction do you go with everything that's out there and all the distractions and all the obstacles? How do we make it better?
That's a good point. Someone posted this today in another group I'm in, and we kind of got in a little tussle. She was showing this story about women who are single mothers are now trying to live with each other, and I'm like, that's not gonna last or whatever. And I said, listen, lesbian relationship violence is 8 times that of domestic violence. Now, I'm not saying that those women are lesbians or whatever, but I am saying it's very difficult for 2 women to live with each other for a prolonged time. Not even sisters can do with that unless it's just absolutely necessary, and even then that will run its course. So that's not a solution.
Live with each other as couples, or just
yeah. Like she got kids, and this person got kids, and the rent's getting too high, so let's come together. That's what they're trying to propose as a solution. I'm saying that's not reality.
Yeah.
They're gonna have
Never
to do
mind.
something because the way things are shaping up now, especially with technology taking over, there's going to be a significant loss in income for people, and more importantly for women, especially if what Supreme Court has decided with affirmative action in college admissions spills over into corporate America.
Yeah, which I'm happy about. And I have no problem in saying that because white women were the biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action. And it's not me being a hater on white women. It's more of just me like this wasn't even beneficial anyway. All these social program and safety nets have created the environment that we have right now. What I don't want to see is people seeing certain dudes. This is why I think it's important for dudes to have some knowledge of women's nature, the game, or whatever, and all that. And that's they don't see them basically as a sucker. There's a better word I want to use than a sucker. Basically, not a sucker. It's basically a captain, a rest haven. That's what I was looking for. She's only with you because you got benefits in the job. Hey fellas, y'all sound like y'all losing. I'm gonna watch one more of these. I forgot what I was just. Oh, I'm gonna watch these Hard Knocks or whatever, and then I'll turn it in.
Well, we about to slide out of here anyway. It's only day 2 of the school year, so I ain't about to have a marathon. So I know today was decent, but I know motherfuckers waking up and like, damn, school started? Shit. Let me come up in there with my bonnet on and my slippers to get my kid in school.
That's fun. Yeah, I forget you gotta see that stuff every day. Wow, who would have thought we got to the point where we're seeing bonnets or whatever at the airport? It's just normal and shit, But y'all have a good night, brothers.
You too. Thanks for coming in, brother.
Yep.
Yeah. So, we always talk about. Well, you come on, this show, it could go multiple ways. And we always try to tie it in to families, whether it's certain situations that bring people together. And like Sir Tyson, when he just left off, when he said women coming together, say, hey, let's raise our families together. The only issue with that is one member that may have girls and the other one have boys, and it's gonna be some shit that pop off. You gotta be prepared for that. I could give you more personal details about that, but I won't. But I know that not probably the greatest ideal, and I know sometimes it happens for financial purposes. That's why I'm never a proponent of your friends and you got sleepovers and boys having sleepovers with the other person and they got daughters.
Oh yeah, no, hell no.
Sooner or later, these kids, they got hormones and shit jump off and you don't realize, damn, oh, my son was sleeping with your daughter or whatever the case is, but y'all think that's cute. Yeah, I think that's cool and whatever. Find that boy some boys to play with. Find that girl some girls to play with. You can, ain't nothing wrong with hanging out, going to party and all that, but when you're having sleepovers and all that stuff, what y'all think will happen? Sooner or later, it's going to be a freaking attraction. And that's like as adults, you'll be around somebody enough times, you're going to start liking them, or it's going to be something, some qualities in them that you're like, man, this is what I need. And it happens. But don't let me tell y'all that, because y'all got all the fucking answers. So don't let me tell y'all that. But just be mindful of those things, because they're like, nah, that's your brother. Nah, they ain't looking at it like that. I can guarantee you, they ain't looking at it like that. When people start to blossom, you start looking at people differently.
Yep.
So that's why I never get caught up when people be like, oh, man, you like a brother to me. We cool or whatever. That's cap, man. For real. You get people together like animals. Sooner or later, it's gonna be some attraction, no matter how y'all came together.
As Mikey said it best. You say he just a friend. You say he just a friend.
Oh, baby, you got what I need.
People that they use that to downplay it, whatever. But stuff, things just things transpire. All right, we not gonna belabor the conversation. This ain't it. If y'all think this is it, then you never been a part of the counselor's corner because it's gonna come up again. And I know, I know many of you mothers probably is like starting school, trying to get homework, get clothes right, get stuff situated. You're like, I ain't got time to be on a show. Whatever, I go back and watch the replay or whatever the case is. I understand that because it's a it's a time. But the one thing I want to say this, not to bring into my own personal life, eh, stop waiting for the fucking last minute to do shit when it come to your kids. Um, if you know you got to register them and it's a certain time frame,
You're done.
handle your business early and get it over with. And the reason I say that, and that's the thing I used to as a kid, like I'm gonna get my homework over with. When Sir Tice mentioned he did his homework directly after high school, I can relate to that because I can relate to having homework on a Friday, and my mother like just going outside and play. Like no, they'll just sit out here and wait because I'm gonna get my homework done before I even. I don't care if it's on a Friday, so I ain't got to worry about nothing until Sunday evening when it's time to come in. But a lot of people they come in, yeah, they want to force their will. Well, school started. Where was your ass at in July? Now you won't. Now you worried that your kid gonna miss so much. Let me let you in a little secret. Don't much go on the first week anyway. You just want them out your fucking house. That's what it ain't much going on. Ain't much going on. Just getting to know each other, icebreakers, new kids coming in the class, whatever. So you raising a ruckus for nothing,
Yeah.
for nothing. Not meaning you don't want your kids at school, but let's handle your business early, so you don't have to act out of your character. Well, maybe that's some of your characters anyway.
I say
Later on. That's all. Herb, any closing comments to this whole family thing?
I'm gonna read something that I was moved to write after watching the Crip movie and Crip Camp. And like I said, people watch it. It's an eye opening thing. In the shadows is where they once kept us, under lock and key in the silence. We were the human versions of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, except there was no sleigh to lead, no Santa Claus to come down a non-existent chimney. Imagine, if you will, going from being a fully autonomous, independent person, and in the time it takes an electrical impulse to cross the synapse, you become a paraplegic or you suffer severe consequences that you need around the clock assistance for. What would you do? More importantly, how would you feel? Mills will face his mathematical certainty. Maybe not today, tomorrow, or in the near future, but a small portion of pardon me, a small percentage of the population will definitely face it. We owe it to humanity to be compassionate to one another. Does it seem like the able-bodied take for granted being fully autonomous? If we looked at how difficult it is to navigate the world with a disability, the answer would be a resounding yes. How do we address this? One word: offer. A hand to someone. Make yourself available so they can refuse the offer. I know it just sounds crazy. Who will refuse the offer that needs assistance or help? Could it be ego? Or could it just be that they want to prove to themselves that they don't need help? No matter what, give them room and grace. And as Jerry Springer used to end his shows, so will I end this one in the same way. Take care of yourself and each other. And with that, I'll close as I always do. Growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
All right, all right. Well, for me, family, again, it may sound cliche. Family is everything, good, bad, or indifferent. The thing about it is, we have the choice. You have a choice of who you want to be around and who you don't want to be around. Even when you have family functions and they large enough, you already know the toxic people, and then you have the people that you like. Man, I vibe with them. We laugh, whatever. Choose your circle carefully. That's all. Don't say you're not gonna go or not attend because this one person gonna be there. You know they gonna cut a fool. Stay away from their ass.
Right.
Stay away from their ass. Embellish and enjoy the people that you enjoy being around with, and that's with anything in life. That's whether in the workplace or whatever. You congregate with people you enjoy being around with. You don't just walk in the circles of people that like they always got something bad to say about the students. They always says they don't like black kids. They don't like white kids. They don't like Hispanics. If you choose to be around that, then that's on you. We have choices. Nobody's holding a gun to your head. But don't let one or two people ruin you from opportunities to spending time with people that mean the world to you, or they coming from different places, and this is the opportunity that y'all can connect together, but you won't go because that event is held at somebody else's house and you don't like them. You don't like them. They don't know you don't like them, but you don't like them. Internally, you keep that and you share that with some people, but it's an opportunity to be around people that you really enjoy to be with. Just something to think about, people. We all got choices. Choose them wisely, and remember, time ain't forever. Time ain't forever, and you don't want to lose those opportunities, especially when you got people coming from all over in different places, because that probably only gonna realistically gonna happen a couple times out of the year, and you have to cherish those moments and make it happen, or you'll go without seeing them, and possibly you don't know what other circumstances is gonna cause y'all not to see each other. So with that said, we out. Thanks for everybody who joined in, who made comments. Please like and share. You could always go back, like it, share it, make comments. If there's certain topics that you got a burning desire to talk about, drop it. We open. We're free game to talk about any conversations. They might not go the way that you want it to go, but that's all about being a flexible individual and say, well, I didn't expect it to go that way, because you don't know the way it's going to go. This shit ain't scripted. We just talking. We just on here talking. So, all right, good people. Everybody be safe, be well. Parents, as far as schools, get all your stuff together. Don't come in trying to jump on staff without knowing the full story. Yeah, I'm just trying to paint a better picture for the school year, because that everything is monumental, whatever. So everybody could live in peace. We out. Talk to you soon. Peace and love. Peace.